Rashi, what's one piece of career advice you wish someone had given you when you were first starting out?
That's a very good question. I think, this the book I read, and I read it very late in my career, and it was a recommendation from one of my mentors. And the book is Feel the Fear and Do It Anyways, right? And I think when you are starting off, you're nervous. You know that you're afraid of failing. You see people around you, you feel that everybody's so smart, they know what they're doing, and you don't know anything, and you're like starting off, and will you ever succeed? And there's always that feeling of like, oh, I won't even call imposter syndrome. It's just you're starting off, you gain experience and wisdom as you grow. I think if somebody just told me that's normal and everybody else is also feeling the same thing that you're feeling and you will overcome it and you will be fine, I think that reassurance would have helped
Yeah.
early on. And I think that book was very I feel like if I read that book earlier, I would know okay, the fear is the path where you understand, oh, this is out of your comfort zone and there is growth out of it. Just do it. If you feel like you can't do it, you're fearful, just do it.
Yeah.
That's the response you should have. And I think that book was amazing. And I think that would have been really helpful.
Can you share a pivotal moment in your career journey that made a significant impact?
Yes, I mean, there are many, right? There's a lot of forks in your life and crossroads and pivots and stuff. But I think the one that was very significant for me was when I decided to go into the management track and not just continue to be a single individual contributor and be an individual engineer. And that, why it was so pivotal was also because it was an awakening.
Yeah.
Because of how it happened, right? It happened because my then manager, the VP of engineering, had asked me hey, he wanted somebody, and I was a technical lead at that point, and he'd asked me that, hey, would you want to be a solution architect helping these couple of teams, like solution end-to-end solutions? And, at that moment, it was oh, he's asking me for what I want to do. So, that means I have a choice of what I want to do, right? I'd never even thought, I thought it's just a linear track going from engineer 1 to senior technical, you just keep going. And that fork, when he asked me, I went home and overnight I thought, well, if he's asking me, maybe I should ask him back if instead of a solution architect, I can be a manager.
Yeah.
I don't know management. I don't know how, that's a new track for me and it would be new learning, new feather in my hat. And I went to him and I was like, hey, can I be a manager instead of solution architect? And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah. It was a surprising moment for both of us because he'd not expected I'll come back with something like that. And then he made room for it and he made that happen. And that was very pivotal because obviously, firstly, it got me into management and this leadership track. But also it gave me the power of what I'd not realized is the power of asking, right? People don't know what you want to do unless you ask for it or you tell, or you have a conversation, right? It may not work out. It may work out. It may pave the path for future to work out. But if you don't say it, nobody knows it. So I think that power of asking was very important and pivotal because it changed my track completely.
Yeah. How do you approach challenges and setbacks in your professional life, and what's your go-to strategy for overcoming them?
Yeah, I mean, they're part of life and part of professional life. And, there's if anybody who comes across as oh, they've got it all, have also gone through setbacks behind the scenes. It's just how they've coped up with it. My go-to strategy is firstly to ask myself this question, because when you go through anything that a setback, that's the most delicate moment for you to feel not confident or you need to go down in your confidence. And the most important part is to not get stuck in that and go down too low and to beat up yourself too much. And I think the first thing I would always ask myself, did I do my best, right? Was it did I give it my best shot? And did I act in the most graceful way, respond gracefully, and didn't burn all the bridges, or did what I could do best in that moment? And if the answers are yes, then you move on to and if the answer is no, then there's a lot of learning for you to do. It's you could have handled it better. But if the answer is yes, then you're also going to as an engineer, you're going to a postmortem, hey, what happened, right?
Yeah.
And what do we say about postmortems? They should be blameless. So you shouldn't blame yourself to beat yourself up for anything, or you shouldn't blame the people involved in it. And you should just see how the situation's uncovered, what opportunity you had you didn't take, you didn't act at the right time, or you did something wrong or somebody else did, but what were the context of it, and did you use the situation and just learn from it. I think what is most important is to know that if something happened again similar, Are you
Yeah.
well more prepared to handle it differently, or like,
Mm.
you know, have a different outcome, drive a different outcome because
Yeah.
you've learned something out of it? And I think that's what it is. Like, just don't lose confidence. I try to not lose like my own, you know, because if you're stuck in that, then you get stuck too long.
Yeah.
And don't take it personally, right? Take it in the context of the situation, and then learn from it. So because that's life, you keep learning, and that's my own. It's a very basic one, but that's my story.
No, it's great. I think it's super important for people to remember that. I think, you know, when things do go wrong, people do look to place blame, and a lot of the time it ends up on themselves. So I think it's good to take a step back and kind of analyze the situation. So I think it's a great piece of advice. Thank you so much, Rashi.
Thank you, appreciate it.